let's see an example of how to use something called a Viz Extension in Tableau. And so we have this data from the 2023 NBA playoffs, and we have data about what conference each team is in, and if they played in the first round, in the conference semifinals, the conference finals, the finals, and if they won. And what we would like is to create what's called a Sankey chart that shows kind of the flow of teams through the playoffs. So we want to see each team and be able to follow kind of when they were eliminated, how far they made it in the playoffs. Open up this Excel file, 2023 NBA playoffs in Tableau, and we want to create a Sankey chart. But if you go look at the show me options, if you start, selecting tables, conference finals, different stages in the playoffs, none of these show me options is a Sankey chart. And so what we want to do is we want to add a Viz extension. So under marks, right now it's set to automatic, and down at the bottom you want to choose add extension under Viz extension. And if we do that, then something will pop up with a lot of different extensions that we can add to our visualizations. And the top one says Sankey. So let's use this Sankey Viz extension. So I'm going to select it and choose open. And now I'm able to use this extension along with my data to create that type of chart. So I want my different levels in my chart to be the different games in the playoffs. So I want the first round to be my first level, and then let's see, next would be conference semifinals would be my next level. And so here it's showing each team and if they went and played in the conference semifinals or if they had been eliminated. So next I would want conference finals as the next level, and then I probably want finals, and after that I'll put winner. So now I have all my levels. And if we were making a different type of Sankey chart, maybe something for like a budget, and we wanted to have the width of kind of the route from one thing to the next level, if we wanted that to have a certain width, we would control that with this link option that would control the width here. Here we're just kind of tracking each team and seeing if they make it to the next level. Here you might notice these colors are pretty different than what was in the image that I showed. And so if we go into Format Extension, there are some things we can tweak. Under the color palette, we could change this to colorblind and put this as more of a blue, orange, gray color palette. And there are some other things you can tweak. You can tweak the width of our levels, the padding between the levels, you can edit this, and the link padding. And so you can see how changing those affects how your chart looks. But you also might notice here, I'm going to exit out of this Format Extension window. You might notice that in the image I showed, the eliminated categories were at the top. And if I wanted to reorder things, I could do that. So if I go to Conference Semifinals under Marks, I could choose Sort, and it says right now it's sorted by the data source order, but I could manually sort these and say, well, I want the 76ers, since I know they make it through the conference semifinals, I want them to be below the teams that were eliminated. And you can kind of play with this and reorder teams so that this looks the way that you want. But this is a great way to make a different type of chart that isn't kind of built into Tableau. But I also recommend thinking about whether or not this really is the best way to visualize this data. Maybe a Sankey chart isn't the right thing for playoff data. So Sankey charts are really good for showing things about flow. So budgets are a good example if you're showing where money is coming in, how it's going out, how much is going to different categories. So this might not be the best type of chart to show NBA playoff data. I also recommend thinking about what's wrong with the way colors are being used here and how could that be improved. So this Viz extension doesn't allow us to tweak everything we would want to tweak. So ideally, I think a team should be colored kind of the same color as we move from left to right throughout the chart. And at the moment, that is not happening. And so that's something that would definitely be an improvement. And so it's good that we can distinguish the colors, but the use of colors isn't the most helpful for following a particular team throughout the playoffs here. But I recommend looking at these different Viz extensions. Sometimes they can be helpful for making things other than bar charts, line charts, maps, the types of things that we've been doing so far.